hard to get in business.
So now once you and Clint are together, if you will, and now you're editing, what did you find, or even for Clint for that matter, what was going to be the key component to your working relationship? You as an editor and him as a director, having his film be put together, basically. Was it a kind of a silent communication you had, or heavy discussions about it, or you go off and do your thing and then call me when you're done?
Well, I have worked on shows prior to working for Clint where the director would tell you during dailies, I want that, and I want that angle, and I want this piece. Clint he's a whole different school. He's the school of, he hires people and he trusts them for what they know to do, and he doesn't want to inhibit them. He wants them to bring what they see. Now, I can remember when we did Unforgiven, Eddie Iona was the prop master, and he brought all these guns in, and he had them all laid out who he thought what character was going to get, and Clint walked in there in 5 minutes, picked all the guns, and walked out. And that's how he is, because he trusts the people. And he has always been, with editing, is I want you to put it together. I want to see what you see. He says the one thing about editing, it's the one part where you can edit a film, and then we can make changes, and we can always put it back, and it's not something that when you're shooting, it's now, and you got to get it. But he believes in first instinct, and he said when he gave me the reins when Ferris retired, he said to me, I got one piece of advice. I said this before. He said, first instinct. Don't go home and think about it and come back and recut. I want to see what the first instincts are. He says, most of the time, your first instincts are correct. He says, I've worked with directors as an actor, and they're not sure of themselves, so we try this, and it's a trial and error. He says, you got to go in there confident, knowing what you're doing. And he says, my key was, when I started to direct, was I was going to hire the best people I could get around me, because that way I knew they were going to make me a better director. And a lot of directors today want to tell everybody how to do it, and so they inhibit the, right as from the actor on down, they inhibit the person. And, you know, I use that motto. I mean, I read the script one time. Mm-hmm. I never read it again, because when I get the film, I look at the dailies, and then when I'm going to go to work on a sequence, I just run through the sequence, each of the pieces again, and I make notes of it, and then I just pick it up. And I've seen now, once on the screen and once in my room, I've seen all the material for a particular sequence, and then it's an instinct, and I just edit the scene.
Well, let me ask you one last thing before we wrap this up, because we're getting short on time here. When you won your Oscar for Unforgiven, yes, what was that like? Do you still recall that moment and when it happened? And what the Phil was working on that versus the Phil of working on the next Oscar-nominated one, $1 Million Baby? Talk about that for a minute.
Well, I firmly believe that if you are nominated, you have won. There's like 450 pictures released each year, and if you're one of 5 films nominated by your peers, you have won, because they have deemed your work to be worthy of mention in those 5 pictures. And if you're fortunate, and I say fortunate because 6,000 people vote, and nobody knows how that's going to go. There's every year, if you watch the Oscars or even any other award shows, where you think, God, I saw that person, they were really great, and they're nominated, and they don't win. And you think, God, how could that person's work, or that actor, or that director, you know? I mean, you can go back, Steven Spielberg has a couple of times where films got nominated for Best Picture, and you get nominated for Director. I mean, you're lucky, you really are. But if your name's in that envelope, you're the luckiest person in the world. And I can tell you, to this day, I still remember, because a good friend of mine was sitting next to me, Frank Uriosity, and he was nominated, and they called my name, and I sat there dumbfounded. I know my wife was sitting there, and we're both staring out there, and he taps me, you got to go. You know, and you don't see that because, you know, the minute they name the picture, they do a little clip of what the film is.
Right.
So nobody sees that. But nobody saw what happened earlier. And this was the second award of the night. And Marissa Tomei won for My Cousin Vinny. And she goes up the stairs there to step up on the stage, and she stumbles on the stair and almost falls. So you're sitting there. Now I get out, and I'm walking up there. I know they're not on me, but all I'm thinking about is those stairs. And I don't even see them bring the award out. I don't see it. I get up there, and I just turn around, and there's Tim there, because Tim was he presented the award to me, Tim Robbins. And you turn around, and you can't see anything because of all the lights.
Right.
And your heart just starts pounding. And it's something that you don't forget.
I was going to say.
And I was honored again with a nomination, and I feel so honored to be nominated that I feel I've always won. And in that year, I really got paid a tremendous compliment by Hillary. The day after the awards, we won 4 awards that night: picture, director, supporting actor, and actress. And they did a in the round little interview with James Lipton, and I was there, and they did this thing, and she comes out, and she's got her Oscars. They put them on the table. The minute the interview, they put them down. They said, okay, that's enough of those things. That's Clint. He's very down to earth. And she comes out, and she sees me, and she just wells up in tears, and she comes over to me and hugs me and gives me a kiss and says, you and I both know I have this because of you. I cannot be paid a higher compliment than that from anybody in my life. I know the work I did in that film, and I told her way on early in that film. I'd see her when they were shooting in Los Angeles. I'd go out on the set, and I told her, wow, girl, something special here. And she says, you told me that. And I said, yeah, I told you, and I'm so happy for you.
Well, thanks, Joel, for being here very much.
Absolutely.
For those of you who don't know, Unforgiven, which you won the Oscar for, is one of the 100 most memorable films according to American Film Institute. So I'm very privileged to have the very editor here and enjoying and celebrating the Reno Film Festival. I'm Scott Birmingham, and this is One-on-One with Joel Cox, and this is For Your Review.